than to a sporting event. The atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
What he's doing on a 5-day basis, and when he pitches at that ballpark, there's one thing you notice: there's not one empty seat.
The excitement he's brought to that city, and the fact that fans are starting to come back, especially on the nights he pitches, I mean, it is so cool to see. It's so overdue, and you can't help but root for Pittsburgh.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
As of July 22nd, we start a new deal with a monster distribution platform called SportsGrid, and we'll be live every day on national radio on SiriusXM channel 159, and we will be live on their national television platform every day from 10 a.m. till noon.
Only on SportsGrid.
Welcome to hour number 3, live right here on the early line on SportsGrid. He is Donnie right side. I am Ben Stevens. A reminder as we start our third and final hour that DRS will bow out just a few minutes early. We'll have Ben's College Corner as Big Ten Media Days begins today. That's because of the updated radio schedule. The money line bright and early, 11 a.m. Eastern time. How did day number 1 go yesterday?
It was good, man. Day number 1 ended at noon, relaxed the entire afternoon, multiple dog walks, had a great
100%.
lunch here. Really fired up for this rest of the week schedule here, so away we go.
No technical hitches. Everything was smooth?
Smooth, man, smooth. The only question is, what do I wear today? Hoodie, hat turned backwards. We'll see.
Visor?
Yep, could be.
So can I ask you,
Visor.
because you would often talk on the show about breaking your fast as soon as we got off air, 11 a.m. Eastern time. DRS does intermittent fasting. He doesn't have his first and only meal of the day till after our show at 11 a.m., but now that's been pushed to noon. So were you hungry during the money line? Were you ravenous by the time you got to noon? How'd you feel?
Yeah. The excitement was just too high yesterday to even worry about eating.
Gotcha.
Like if I had to go on radio all day long, I might need not even have to eat for 48 hours. I was so amped up, ready to go. Yeah, Kevin and my counterpart, Kevin Walsh. And by the way, we like to share things on the air. So I'm bookmarking this right now. I got to share something off the air, which was hilarious, but I just don't know it's for public consumption. I'm sorry to do that to the people, but it did have to do with something from yesterday's money line. Yes. You guys will appreciate it, just not the general public. I don't think is going to appreciate not being told this.
Right. It's good to tell a national audience about an inside joke that only we will hear during the commercial break.
Joke.
That's good hosting. All right, now let's get to one of the hot topics of the day. It is day number 3 at Packers training camp. Green Bay showed up on Sunday afternoon. Jordan Love is there, just not practicing at the moment until what is expected to be a very wealthy contract extension is signed on the dotted line. We wanted to hear from the people. Donnie, we gave our assessment on Jordan Love's contract extension and his negotiations with the Packers earlier on in our opening hour. How does the rest of the public feel? Let's hear right now and Fade the Public. Oh, my God. Listen, at SportsGrid on Twitter, there is nothing like an NFL Fade the Public poll. Nearly 300 votes on this Tuesday morning about Jordan Love with this question. Should the Packers make Jordan Love the highest paid player in NFL history? Reports state that he could surpass both the annual average salary of $55 million that both Joe Burrow and Trevor Lawrence have at this moment. But most of the public, the overwhelming majority, over 78%, say no way should the Packers make Jordan Love the highest paid player in the history of the National Football League. What does Donnie Rightside say?
You know, the poll actually should technically, it could read differently here. Should the Packers make Jordan Love the highest paid player in the NFL history? No, they shouldn't, technically, right? Because that's Patrick Mahomes. He should always be the highest paid player because he's the best player. But if that would actually went to will the Packers make Jordan Love the highest paid player in the NFL history, that really could have changed up the equation more of at least a 50-50 at that point, because he is probably going to be the highest paid player in the history of the NFL. Deserving of that means he's the best player of all time in the NFL. We understand that's not the case. It's just a matter of when that contract's going to be signed. And next year, he'll be like in the top 10 of overall players being paid at the quarterback position, because that's just the way it goes at this point. So I do technically agree with the public the way this is written as at 78%, because technically, no, he's not the best player. Therefore, he shouldn't be the highest paid player. But if it was will the Packers, because it's his turn to get a contract, I think a lot more yes votes would have came into the equation here.
And I think, DRS, the way the question is phrased is actually kind of a teaching point, right? To try to explain how the NFL works in this expanded salary cap era and the inflation of the quarterback position. Is Jordan Love the best quarterback in the National Football League? No. Is he top 5? No. Is he top 10? Probably not, but maybe I would hear the argument. I would say at least, at bare minimum, top half right now. But you are not paid based on your statistical performance. You are paid based on projection and what the market value says you are worth at this moment. The best quarterback in the National Football League at this moment, there is no doubt, it is Patrick Mahomes. But he is tied for the 9th highest paid QB based on an annual average salary right now at $45 million alongside Kirk Cousins. There is nobody that would say Patrick Mahomes barely cracks the top 10. Everybody would tell you Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback with the most illustrious resume and the most proven pedigree in the National Football League. He should be the highest paid quarterback. Give him $100 million, $70 million, the first $60 million man. But that's why Brett Veach and what Kansas City did now multiple off seasons ago was so shrewd. It was the 10-year deal with $450 million that would keep him in-house over the next 12 years. It was a deal that was just bonkers in terms of the overall amount, nearly $500 million shelled out to Mahomes. But you pay him then, so you don't have to pay him now. And there's going to be some reworking of the deal for Mahomes, so he has contract incentives to be paid closer to $50 million. We understand all of that, but it's about market value. And Jordan Love is going to get his deal. The Packers are going to pay him. He is under contract only for this remaining year. He is now the face of the franchise. Some of it is projection. Some of it is a reward for his performances down the stretch in those final 8 games to lead Green Bay to a playoff spot and pull off that huge upset on the road in the Star over the Cowboys in the Super Wild Card round. Some of it is projection and some of it is reward. The question is not, should Green Bay extend Jordan Love? It's should they make him the highest paid player in the history of the National Football League? But if Green Bay extends Jordan Love, it is going to make him more than likely the highest paid player in the history of the NFL.
Absolutely. And also, the NFL is one of those few leagues that's going to pay you for future performance as opposed to past performance. Because, again, you can play much, much longer in, let's just say, Major League Baseball and or in the NBA than you can in football outside of the quarterback position. But his time is coming up. He's going to get paid well. He's going to be in training camp. There's no animosity. We see both sides. Let's take it back to the Justin Jefferson going up against the Minnesota Vikings, where at the end of the season, the Vikings general manager told you he's the best. We're going to pay him more than anybody else. It's just a matter of time at this point. You understand that. The Packers aren't putting out feelers out there like, you know what, release this to the public where he wants twice as much as Trevor Lawrence just got. We're not going to pay him that. Like, no, this deal is going to come to a head here. And also, get this deal done now. Have a good season. Don't have it linger into training camp. Don't have him missing training camp practices. Don't have him holding out up to the season where it's like, hey, I haven't got on the practice field yet. Still waiting for my contract. Get this deal done, quite frankly, before you even start your training camp practices, and away you go at this point. But make no mistake about it. He is going to be up there with Trevor Lawrence. Again, Trevor Lawrence, the highest paid quarterback in NFL history, technically on a year-to-year basis. Jordan Love's going to get that. He is.
No doubt about it. Trevor Lawrence and Joe Burrow both making $55 million per year. Joey B, a little bit more guaranteed money. DRS, our final thing in the 7 and 7 to start the show was Netflix releasing the Untold series Connor Stallion's Sign Stealer documentary. You excited?
I am, but also, am I reading this correctly? Like it's his point of view? Is that what this is?
I think so. He gives his side of the affair of how he became the viral villain last year.
So it's basically like remember when O.J. Simpson wrote a book, If I Did It? Is that what he's saying? Like, well, if I would have actually done the sign stealing, here's how I would have went about doing it. We all know he did it. And Michigan escaping a death penalty was amazing. That was able to happen. But again, kids out here, cheat as much as you can. Michigan gave you the blueprint to do whatever you want. You got a test coming up in September, the first week of school. Cheat on it. Guaranteed. Nothing's going to happen to you. Just the way it is. Michigan told you so.
Might make a documentary about you in years to come.
Yeah.
Connor Stallion's O.J. Simpson comparisons. More of that on the early line next. DeMar DeRozan now joins that team in Sacramento with the Kings. De'Aaron Fox, Domantas Sabonis, Devin Carter, who they drafted early, Keegan Murray as well. A Kings team, DRS, that has been a playoff contender.
Is it going to equate to a championship? Probably not. But that's not the goal. Make your team better every offseason. The Kings definitely got better with that move here, Ben.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
Where are you at in terms of a starting lineup? What you want to see from Team USA?
I think he'll get guys involved, and then there's your lockdown defender at the point guard, the point of attack, right? I do like Curry. I would then go with Ant. I like Ant over Booker. I think if you look at the way the Canada game was, they looked kind of slow starting, and then they kind of got rolling.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
He talked about Major League Baseball and its rule, or actually its relationship with sports betting and gambling.
Integrity is the foremost concern, and a lot of people are questioning that given all the scandals, right? There's Mercano, there's Pat Hoberg, one of the best umpires in MLB, suspended right now. We don't exactly know what he did, but he's been disciplined, and he hasn't umpired a game this year.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
If this wind, like we have out of the Northwest, was here all week, it would be insane watching these guys play in it. But it's going to be a southwest wind, which makes it a little easier as far as the direction of the wind. The guys will have it a little bit of a break on the back nine. But it is such a fun golf course, one that I really do think tests every single aspect of your game.
Only on SportsGrid.
Reunited, and it feels so good. A daily basis reunion live right here on this Tuesday on the Early Line on SportsGrid. Last week, Craig Mish taking in all of the All-Star festivities in Arlington We missed you, Craig. We are glad to have you back. The host of Newswire, starting each and every day at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And, of course, our MLB insider here on the SportsGrid Network as well. Only a week out from the MLB trade deadline next Tuesday afternoon. So, Craig, we're glad to have you back. It's been too long, but we are happy to have you here.
Thanks for having me back. Great to see you guys again. It was a fun time in Arlington, and getting to go to Texas, go to that stadium for the first time ever, Globe Life Park. Getting to go to the other stadium, which is right across the street there. But I got to tell you, having been to a lot of stadiums, also the one very I don't know if the word is daunting, but it's sort of amazing thing is the football stadium, AT&T Stadium, where the Cowboys play. I mean, that thing is like a planet. Like it is so massive. I just have never seen anything like that before. But yes, the All-Star game was great. Home Run Derby was fun. And of course, the All-Star game also fun as well. And my son had a great time, which is the most important thing.
It's been too long, frankly, since we did this. Craig Mish is here. We go around the bases and touch them all today. It's time for the Daily Bases. I'll do it. Craig, great to have you back.
Yep,
you talked a little bit about your trip to the Lone Star State last week as you took in all the festivities. The American League winning the All-Star game for the 10th time in the last 11 years. Jarren Duran named the All-Star game MVP, the Home Run Derby. Teoscar Hernandez putting on a show. What was your favorite part, Craig, of your trip to Arlington in the All-Star break?
Well, the Home Run Derby is always fun. Having a swing off for the first time ever, I thought that was really cool. So that was a big part of the experience. The All-Star game itself, guys, let's be honest, it's just like any other game. Once you get to the 5th, 6th inning, you can see these guys are swinging at the first pitch every time they want to go home. But I think just, again, seeing a lot of new faces, a lot of young players, Skeens opening up the game, getting those matchups with Juan Soto and Aaron Judge, definitely a lot of fun as well. And I thought Arlington and all around Texas, I thought they did a phenomenal job just with all the festivities and the All-Star game. But I definitely think that there's going to be a lot of those players that you're going to see back again in that game next year in Atlanta.
Yeah, it was fun. It got that nice mesh of the older veterans and a lot more of that young talent infusion. And certainly we look forward to that in the next couple years. Let's take a look at maybe a talent infusion coming up in a week or so for multiple baseball teams trying to vie for Tarek Skubal. This guy's one of the best pitchers in Major League Baseball, probably if he stays in the American League, going to win the Cy Young Award. Craig, what have you been hearing maybe behind the scenes? Is it true that Skubal possibly could be on the move by the deadline?
Haven't heard one thing about this. So this is just me reading the same thing that you guys are. Now, again, I'm not in a position to say that something is true or not because I just don't know. I can't speak on it. And again, I have contacts way beyond just covering the Marlins. But this one would be an absolute stunner for me. By the way, it doesn't make any sense either. I mean, the Tigers at some point are going to have to be a little bit better than what they are right now. I don't know if it's this year. But if you look at the Tigers and their trajectory, doesn't it feel a lot like the Pirates' trajectory? And you feel like the Pirates have a guy like Skeen, and Detroit has a guy like Skubal. Yes, he's got a couple of years under his belt, so he doesn't have that complete team control like Skeens does. But if the Tigers are going to compete as soon as next year with A.J. Hinch, who's won World Series with Houston, like, isn't he the guy that's going to front that rotation? Guys, this makes no sense to me whatsoever. So, again, if it happens, it happens. Several years ago, I couldn't have seen Juan Soto traded. And since that has happened, I'm never going to say that anything's 100% or even 99%. But I would be shocked if Detroit traded arguably one of the best pitchers in the American League, who, by the way, is not a free agent next year. Doesn't make sense to me.
Completely agree, Craig. He should be the face of the franchise in the Motor City. He should be the ace of the staff for this year, next year, and many, many years to come. 11-3 now with a 2.34 ERA and minus 140, the updated number to win the American League Cy Young Award. That was Craig's preseason prediction of who would win the AL Cy Young. Other pitching news, James Paxton, the veteran lefty for the Dodgers, DFA'd yesterday, meaning he was released. An interesting stat line this year for Paxton, 8-2. So when he was on the bump, the Dodgers, who were one of the best teams in baseball, would win games, but an ERA above 4. What does DFAing Paxton mean? Does it mean the Dodgers are opening up some spots on the roster to add in some familiar faces?
Yeah, well, they could have done that next week, so there was really no need to do it now if that was the case. I think they just simply looked at it, and I guess a lot of the advanced metrics came out once he was DFA'd that showed that he's been one of the luckiest pitchers in baseball this season. They have scored a lot of runs for him, and he's stranded a lot of runners, which generally means you're lucky in baseball. Now, Paxton will latch on with another team. He is nowhere near the pitcher that he used to be, as the strikeout numbers would indicate. I don't believe his career is over, but I think the Dodgers simply wanted more swing and miss in that rotation. So whether they add someone or not, I think it's sort of irrelevant. They're just kind of selling high on, if you can say that, even on Paxton's season.
Subway Series tonight starts. Luis Gil had a little bit of a rough road there, but back-to-back really quality starts here as he takes the mound tonight. Yankees look like they're going to be buyers at the deadline. The Mets, Craig, will they be buyers also? They're going to help this team out a little bit.
Hey, look, I would think that the Mets will push a little bit. I don't see why they wouldn't. Last year they were sellers. I don't know that they'll necessarily be buyers. I think the one thing, guys, that the Cubs did yesterday is set the tone for the deadline. And I think there are some other teams, guys, that may follow suit with the Cubs and say, hey, look, Cubs, big market team that can spend endlessly, choosing not to do it, choosing not to go in, few games under, will be them too. Hate to see that, but I think that's what we're setting up for here at the deadline. A lot of holders at the deadline as opposed to buyers and sellers.
That's what you hate to see. You want some buyers, you want some sellers, you don't want holders. We want some activity. We want Craig Mish pulling out his phone when he's here for the daily basis next Tuesday as he gets breaking news live. And then Donnie can say sources of sources. That's all we have ever wanted. Craig Mish, thank you so much. We'll talk to you tomorrow. More around the MLB Diamond. DeMar DeRozan now joins that team in Sacramento with the Kings. Aaron Fox, Domantas Sabonis, Devin Carter, who they drafted early, Keegan Murray as well. A Kings team, DRS, that has been a playoff contender.
Is it going to equate to a championship? Probably not. That's not the goal. Make your team better every offseason. The Kings definitely got better with that move here, Ben.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
Where are you at in terms of a starting lineup, what you want to see from Team USA?
I think he'll get guys involved, and then there's your lockdown defender at the point guard, the point of attack, right? I do like Curry. I would then go with Ant. I like Ant over Booker. I think if you look at the way the Canada game was, they looked kind of slow starting, and then they kind of got rolling.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
He talked about Major League Baseball and its rule, or actually its relationship with sports betting and gambling.
Integrity is the foremost concern, and a lot of people are questioning that given all the scandals, right? There's Mercano, there's Pat Hoberg, one of the best umpires in MLB, suspended right now. We don't exactly know what he did, but he's been disciplined, and he hasn't umpired a game this year.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
If this wind like we have out of the Northwest was here all week, it would be insane watching these guys play in it. But it's going to be a southwest wind, which makes it a little easier as far as the direction of the wind. The guys will have it a little bit of a break on the back nine. But it is such a fun golf course, one that I really do think tests every single aspect of your game.
Only on SportsGrid.
A full slate on this Tuesday around Major League Baseball, a historic day. Anytime Paul Skeens gets a start. It is Skeens Day number 12 in the history of MLB. That's XII. Today in Pittsburgh as the Buccos get ready to host the St. Louis Cardinals. Pittsburgh did win the opener of this midweek set against their divisional foe yesterday. The Pirates are playing really good baseball at the moment. Winners of 8 of their last 10, 2 games above 500, only a half game out of a wild card spot in the NL. And anytime Skeens is on the bump, they're a hefty home favorite at minus 180. Will Paul Skeens deliver yet another win for Pittsburgh today against the Redbirds?
I think he will. Do I want to bet the minus 172? Not necessarily, but Skeens has a 60 xFIP minus and an ERA of 1.76 over the past 60 days. That is crazy good. You take a look at Lance Lynn. He's not a bad pitcher. If you look at his 60-day numbers, a 102 xFIP minus, a higher ERA of 5.20, but that really tells you that he might be getting a little bit more unlucky. But having said that, Lance Lynn over the past 30 days, 90 batters that he's faced in total, 43 of those are lefties. How about this? An ISO of 286 and a weighted on base percentage of 372. Estimated lineup tonight here for the Pirates. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 estimated left-handed batters if we include switch hitters. So that might be an advantage. Pittsburgh should win this baseball game, but I do think Lance Lynn will be okay because this game is in Pittsburgh, a true pitcher's ballpark. So I look at that 7.5 and say, this game is probably like a 4-1, 4-2, 4-3 type game. So I think it stays under the 7.5. I do think Pittsburgh wins. I just don't know if I want to take that 172 price point. That's all.
The Pirates have won 8 of the 11 starts overall for Paul Skeens. His record 6-0 with a 1.90 ERA. It would be the lowest in baseball, yet he has not met the innings requirement, as you might expect, for a rookie making his 12th start. We saw Paul Skeens start last Tuesday for the National League at the All-Star game. 7.5 is the K-prop for Skeens today, and the over has a bit of plus money at plus 102. He's at 8 Ks or more in 7 of his previous 8 starts. Normally, 7.5 has remained the K-prop, but the over has started to have the juice, even bumping the K-prop up to 8.5. I do find that to be a little bit intriguing today inside PNC Park. The Pittsburgh Pirates won their weekend set against the Philadelphia Phillies, their in-state foe. The Phils struggling a little bit on either side of the break. They've dropped 5 of their last 7, but Zach Wheeler, their ace, gets the start today in Minneapolis. Will the Phils bounce back after losing 7-2 to the Twins yesterday in the opener?
Do I know if Zach Wheeler's back is 100%? And he probably wouldn't be pitching if it wasn't. So I do trust that the Phillies net 162 price should be valid today. And also keep in mind, we just talked about Paul Skeens, and you bring up that strikeout prop, which is the same thing we can bring over to Zach Wheeler as well. Usually pitchers are pitching on every 4th to 5th day here, and maybe 6 days if you take a look at that rotation in Atlanta. But you're giving some really powerful pitchers an extra week to a week and a half off. Keep in mind, Paul Skeens didn't pitch a couple days before the break, goes into the All-Star break, throws 1 inning in an All-Star game, then has another week off until he pitches tonight. He should be extra gassed up, which that's what I expect for Zach Wheeler. Zach Wheeler's actually supposed to pitch the Sunday before the All-Star break, but they wanted to give him a little bit extra time off. So his fastball should be touching high 90s in this game. There should be a bounce-back performance, but then again, you see that price point there on the screen of 162. Yeah, the Phillies should win that game. Probably will go over the total, but at the same time is you would be upset in like the 4th inning, like, hey, well, we're only an 80 pitch count or 85 pitch count. You're going to pull him out because you don't want to do any more damage to the back if it's still a little bit sore. Those are the tough things to bet into. But in a perfect vacuum here where we don't have to worry about Zach Wheeler's back, I should say, the Phillies should win this game going away against Woods Richardson.
The age-old rest versus rust debate. Yeah. Will they be a little bit rusty? Will they take it a little bit slow after the break? Or are they coming out firing away? Chris Sale gets the start today for Atlanta. He is the NL Cy Young favorite in front of Wheeler, who is in front of Skeens. Great starters on the bump all across MLB today. The Braves are a minus 235 favorite against the Reds since he got the victory in the opener of this set yesterday against Reynaldo Lopez. Atlanta a hefty favorite. Will they make good on that ticket?
79 degrees, light wind blowing out to left field. You see that 7.5 number last year. This might have been 9.5 because we know those Atlanta bats certainly would come to play against a pitcher that isn't of, let's just say, dominant ilk, which Nick Martinez technically isn't. But Martinez hasn't been bad this year, but that's not really the handicap. It's just the Atlanta Braves lineup. Like if you say tonight, hey, the Braves are going to score 3 runs, I don't know if I want to back Chris Sale at that price. And even if I think he is going to be very good, I told you yesterday, just take the Reds here against another really good pitcher in Lopez because I don't think the Braves can hit. Same thing goes tonight. Why not just take the dog price on the Reds and say, how many runs can the Braves score?
7.5 as well for Atlanta, the highest under percentage in MLB. More TEL next. DeMar DeRozan now joins that team in Sacramento with the Kings. De'Aaron Fox, Domantas Sabonis, Devin Carter, who they drafted early, Keegan Murray as well. A Kings team, DRS, that has been a playoff contender.
Is it going to equate to a championship? Probably not. That's not the goal. Make your team better every offseason. The Kings definitely got better with that move here, Ben.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
Where are you at in terms of a starting lineup, what you want to see from Team USA?
I think he'll get guys involved, and then there's your lockdown defender at the point guard, the point of attack, right? I do like Curry. I would then go with Ant. I like Ant over Booker. I think if you look at the way the Canada game was, they looked kind of slow starting, and then they kind of got rolling.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
He talked about Major League Baseball and its rule, or actually its relationship with sports betting and gambling.
Integrity is the foremost concern, and a lot of people are questioning that given all the scandals, right? There's Mercano, there's Pat Hoberg, one of the best umpires in MLB, suspended right now. We don't exactly know what he did, but he's been disciplined, and he hasn't umpired a game this year.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
If this wind, like we have out of the Northwest, was here all week, it would be insane watching these guys play in it. But it's going to be a southwest wind, which makes it a little easier as far as the direction of the wind. The guys will have it a little bit of a break on the back nine. But it is such a fun golf course, one that I really do think tests every single aspect of your game.
Only on SportsGrid.
We return one final time to Win Total Tuesday around the National Football League with a focus on the AFC West. The Chiefs, a minus 230 favorite, the best price for any team to win any of the 8 divisions around the National Football League, something Kansas City has done. That's win the AFC West each of the past 8 seasons. We talked about our expectations in Los Angeles for Jim Harbaugh in his first year as the head coach of the Chargers. Now Antonio Pierce and a Raiders team with a win total of 6.5. And a Broncos team looking to find some sort of mile-high optimism once again in year number 2 under Sean Payton. Let's start and go back to Las Vegas, DRS. 6.5 the win total for the Raiders. The over has the slight bit of juice at minus 138. A Vegas team that ended last year with 8 wins despite firing Josh McDaniels midway through the year at the end of October, legitimately on Halloween, to then have Antonio Pierce take over and show some bit of life down the stretch. Will that momentum carry over from an interim head coach in Antonio Pierce, now the permanent head man of the organization in Las Vegas?
He has the locker room. And again, I don't think anybody's going to disrespect the fact that he got that head coaching job because, quite frankly, it was deserved. Now, he's got the job. Let's see what he can do because you're only as good as the players that you have. And sure, if they buy in, that's certainly going to help you out. You have an all-pro, one of the best wide receivers in football, Devontae Adams. You have a couple decent players to go along with them. You probably have a decent running game, a solid offensive line, some good pass rushers. See, like you have the basis for a good football team, but you're in the same division as Patrick Mahomes. You're not going to win that with Aiden O'Connell. I don't care how much you want to try to say he's going to make strides this year. If he's the starter, I don't think they do much damage. And then again, as we talked about, Gardner Minshew is that backup who, quite frankly, should be the starter if you're just interested in winning games. And I do think you have a head coach here that is going to say to himself, you know what? I have the locker room here. And I can't roll out there the way I played last year. The way I played it last year is the best player is going to play. We're here to win football games and say Gardner Minshew is outperforming Aiden O'Connell, but I want to get a look at Aiden O'Connell. That could ruin locker room, energy on day number one where they feel like this guy shouldn't be playing. It doesn't give us the best chance to win because, quite frankly, that's how he got the job. So I'm interested to see how they play it, but I don't care how they play it or who starts at quarterback. I just don't think they're going to be a factor in the AFC West.
9 games for Antonio Pierce as the interim head coach last year. Las Vegas won 5 of those 9, including his opening game, dismantling the Giants 30-6. They knocked off the Jets the next week, 16-12. Of course, the Christmas Day stunner against Kansas City in Arrowhead, winning that game 20-14. They were an underdog in 7 of the 9 games under Pierce to end out the year, and they were 7-1-1 against the number under Antonio Pierce last year. You love the competitive fire where you hope the competition leads to more and more wins, right? If you're keeping games closer than the odds makers expect, and maybe you're even pulling off some outright upsets as the dog, that could be very good for your win total. 6.5, though, so it's not exactly sky-high expectations in Sin City. Gardner Minshew should get the start. Aiden O'Connell on the roster as well. No longer Josh Jacobs there for the Raiders this season. Now let's go to the Denver Broncos. 5.5 the win total for Sean Payton and the Broncos entering year number 2. Last year, a disaster by all accounts, despite finishing just a game shy of 500. But Russell Wilson's tenure the previous 2 seasons at Mile High, not great with all that was invested into Russ, in that trade, into Sean Payton, having to trade around multiple draft assets to get Sean Payton from New Orleans because he stepped away. He did not finish out his contract with the Saints. 5.5 is now the win total for the Broncos. The under has the juice at -120. It is the second lowest win total in all of the National Football League. Only the Patriots, with a win total of 4.5, have a worse number than that of Denver. How bad do you think this year is for the Broncos, or do the odds makers have it incorrect?
No, I think it's going to be a bad season for the Broncos. Now, I do think they have a good coach, but even coaches of, a great background as Sean Payton has had. He's won a lot of football games. He's an offensive genius, Super Bowl trophy in New Orleans. But I really think he misread the situation in Denver. And I don't blame anybody for taking that Denver job because he feels like he was coming off the heels of a coach that was completely incompetent. And he was just going to take the reins and say, look, Russ was really bad. I'll make Russ really good. Just watching Russell Wilson over the past decade in the NFL, he's going to the Hall of Fame. I'll step in there. We'll get a good game plan together. I'll win 10, 11 games right off the bat, and I'll be a hero in Denver. And everything crashed and burned, including I need to flip over this entire roster, and I think I want to trade away every wide receiver I had and also get rid of Russell Wilson and say, let me draft a quarterback, but I'm not going to draft the top 2 or 3 quarterbacks in the draft. I'm going to go with Bo Nix. Let me see what I can do with him. I'm crunched up with the salary cap because how much money Russell Wilson cost me. Boy, this was a really big miss because I think you're now looking at this year as a throwaway season. Is Nix going to be the quarterback that's going to carry you to the future? If he's not, you go that route again because if you win 5 or 6 games in the NFL, you're probably drafting top 5 easily, maybe even number 1 overall. I don't have any expectation. At least with the Raiders, you can say, you know what? I have a coach in place that is a win-now coach. I think they're going to be able to be competitive on a week-to-week basis. Yeah. Whereas the Denver Broncos, I don't really think it's about the coach at this point. I just think he's stuck in a mess that he didn't expect to be here at this point.
There was optimism at Mile High, even following the disaster of Nathaniel Hackett, who was fired before the end of his very first year, because the defense was still very good. And the year before Hackett, it was under Vic Fangio. The defense was elite, second best scoring defense in all of the National Football League. And then last year, it was thought Sean Payton, the offensive mastermind, he would work out the relationship with Russ. They would be on the same page. A lot of talent defensively and offensively for the Broncos. They might be able to contend right away. And that was the expectation. 8.5, the win total for Denver entering last season. And there's not this grace period with all that has been invested in this Broncos team to turn over the franchise. First, Russ. Big swing and a miss, maybe the worst trade in the history of the NFL as we will look back at it. And if things don't work out for Sean Payton, the draft assets, capital that was given up to Sean Payton, and the $10 million contract per year reported for Sean Payton as well, that could be a disaster in Denver. And 5.5 is that win total. So maybe it doesn't work out this year. But then what's your expectation for 2025? There's not a lot of wiggle room left for this Broncos organization, at least in my estimation. And Russ didn't put up gaudy stats last year. He wasn't throwing for 275 or 300 continuously, but he wasn't really bad. He was very efficient with the football. Now it's Bo Nix, the rookie quarterback, of course, coming over from Oregon. A plethora of experience at Auburn first and then in Eugene. The most starts we have ever seen from an FBS quarterback in college football history. He's a rookie, but he's got experience. There's some talent on the offensive side. The defense took a big step back last year, gave up more than 24 points per game, bottom 10 in terms of scoring defense in the NFL. If it's even over the win total, I'm not sure it's more than 6 or 7, which makes 2025 a very warm seat at Mile High in my estimation.
And also, when you're betting win totals, Ben, you have to have the proper perspective. When you're betting a win total for the Kansas City Chiefs, at no point in the season is it going to be like, you know what, might not make the playoffs, might make the playoffs. Let's be sellers at the deadline and just tank this season. When you're betting a win total that's that low, oh, they can actually get that. But in the final 6 to 7 games of the season, when you need 2 wins, and Sean Payton goes, well, if we pick up these 2 wins, I'm not going to have a top 10 draft pick. You know what? We're going to go into evaluation mode. We'll play good football, but at the end of games, we're going to make sure we don't win. You remember the Philadelphia, Eagles in that final game of the season against the Washington Commanders, who basically said, you know what? We're pulling the plug in the fourth quarter to make sure we lose. Got him Devonta Smith, which really helped him out. There's no business winning games late in December as momentum when you're going to cost yourself a future draft pick, which might be the quarterback that you need over the next decade. That's something to be wary of.
If you take the optimistic approach in Denver, last year they were a laughingstock. Sean Payton was saying wild things, and Russ was still there. And they won 8 games, but the win total just 5.5 for 2024. MLB breakdowns next. DeMar DeRozan now joins that team in Sacramento with the Kings. De'Aaron Fox, Domantas Sabonis, Devin Carter, who they drafted early, Keegan Murray as well. A Kings team, DRS, that has been a playoff contender.
Is it going to equate to a championship? Probably not. That's not the goal. Make your team better every offseason. The Kings definitely got better with that move here, Ben.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
Where are you at in terms of a starting lineup? What you want to see from Team USA?
I think he'll get guys involved, and then there's your lockdown defender at the point guard, the point of attack, right? I do like Curry. I would then go with Ant. I like Ant over Booker. I think if you look at the way the Canada game was, they looked kind of slow starting, and then they kind of got rolling.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
He talked about Major League Baseball and its rule, or actually its relationship with sports betting and gambling.
Integrity is the foremost concern, and a lot of people are questioning that given all the scandals, right? There's Mercano. There's Pat Hoberg, one of the best umpires in MLB, suspended right now. We don't exactly know what he did, but he's been disciplined, and he hasn't umpired a game this year.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
If this wind like we have out of the Northwest was here all week, it would be insane watching these guys play in it. But it's going to be a southwest wind, which makes it a little easier as far as the direction of the wind. And the guys will have it a little bit of a break on the back nine. But it is such a fun golf course, one that I really do think tests every single aspect of your game.
Only on SportsGrid.
For the final time this year, at least in the regular season, more than likely not in October, the Subway Series. This week, a 2-game set. It starts tonight in the Bronx. The Mets actually won both of the games against their in-city rival back in June at Citi Field. Today, the Subway Series begins in the Bronx. The Yankees a favorite at home today, and as I try to find the price for this Subway Series, the Yankees a slight favorite to win the set overall, plus 164. A tie, that's a split of the 2-game set, is minus 102. The Mets enter the series at plus 440. Both teams ended out an extended weekend series in a 4-game set yesterday, both with a victory. The Mets on the road in South Beach over the Marlins. The Yankees at home yesterday. Some day baseball against the Rays, both splitting that 4-game set. Our guy, Luis, don't call him, Heel on the bump today, minus 162. The Pinstripes a home favorite against the New York Mets.
Yeah, I liked what I saw to Luis Gil over the past 2 starts here, maybe bouncing back to that form that he started the season with. But if we do take the 60-day statistics in totality between both of these pitchers, Jose Quintana's got a 105 xFIP minus, and you take a look at Luis Gil, a 106 xFIP minus. Both of those guys just above that average threshold here, but also sometimes it comes down to the matchups here. Quintana's going to come here with 98 batters faced over the past 30 days, an ISO power number combined of 195 and a weighted on base percentage of 295. The one thing that he's done extremely well is dominate left-handed batters. Well, in the lineup today, the only lefty that's going to be in there is Juan Soto, who actually has very good statistics with lefty on lefty. If you take a look at Quintana, he's got an elevated ISO power number against right-handed batters, but a good weighted on base percentage. Here's the issue. Take a look at this lineup. We talked about it yesterday. Boy, until that game started against the Rays, where they actually had a very good offensive outing, put up 9 runs, like, where's the offense been? Because it's felt like, Ben, it's just Soto and it's just Aaron Judge. And quite frankly, against left-handed pitching over the past 30 days, it's just Soto and it's just Aaron Judge. Everybody else has been brutal besides those 2 guys. Flip it over to the New York Mets here and see how they match up against Luis Gil. If we're just looking at the past 30 days, he was a right-handed pitcher. Left-handed batters have gotten the best of him here. 2 guys with great numbers at the top of the lineup that will be lefties today. That's Francisco Lindor and Brandon Nimmo. You also take a look at a little bit later in that lineup, Jeff McNeil. So obviously the batting optics look better on a Mets side here. So I'm actually going to look at this and say, boy, I'd love to go with an over, but I just think it screams under, to be honest. Even though it's a hitter's ballpark, those Yankee numbers don't look great against lefties, and I'll ride that.
9 is the total. Some storms in the greater New York City area expected all day long. Again, Luis Gil, you saw the numbers there. 3.17 ERA, a 10-5 record, plus 240 to win the American League Rookie of the Year award. Second best behind the Rangers' Wyatt Langford, who delivered the walk-off RBI winner for Texas yesterday. When Luis was known by a different name in his first 14 starts of the year, 9-1 mark, 2.03 ERA, and the Yankees had won 12 of those first 14 starts. Then he allowed 16 earned runs in his next 3 starts. Now in his last 2, as Donnie mentioned, better as of late. Just a single earned run in each, 12 2/3 in those 2 starts in that span. A divisional duel getting started this week in Toronto between the Rays and the Blue Jays. The Blue Jays 9 games below 500 in this next week ahead of the trade deadline. What does Toronto do? Tampa, even 500 after 100 games this year, 50-50. The numbers for today, the Blue Jays, a home favorite with Jose Barrios on the bump, the over-under, 8.5. What do you like in the 6?
Yeah, look at Barrios, and you take a look at the last 30 days, 101 batters. He's basically average, 153 ISO power number against, 334 weighted on base percentage. But if you take a look at that 60-day scope and add in some analytics here for Barrios, he's got a 119 xFIP minus. How about this? An ERA of 5.06 and an xFIP number of 4.85. That's not good enough to get the job done, but he does get a bit of a reprieve because you look at that look at the Tampa Bay Rays lineup and say to yourself, it isn't all that great. Outside of what? Brandon Lau at a 304 ISO and a weighted on base percentage of 393, and Palacios in that leadoff hole at 363. There's not a lot to love in that anticipated lineup today. If you do look at Toronto's side, going up against Tyler Alexander on the season, he's got terrible numbers, but over the past 30 days, he doesn't have any numbers. So coming back into Major League Baseball right now, if we're looking at some of those guys, George Springer, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. have positive numbers, but on the whole, the past 30 days haven't treated that lineup kindly against left-handed pitching. But if I'm looking at Barrios struggling here and Alexander not a great pitcher in a smaller ballpark like Toronto as opposed to playing in the Trop, you might just want to lean on the total in this game, even though I'm not in love with it outside of a couple guys on each one of these rosters.
The Cubbies were an underdog yesterday in Wrigley in the opener against the Milwaukee Brewers. Chicago wins 3-1, low-scoring affair. Total today, 8.5, with our central focus inside the friendly confines once again. Chicago an ever-so-slight favorite at -110, but -106 on the other side for the Brewers, a virtual pick'em. Who gets the victory at Wrigley?
Yeah, you're taking a look at probably the better pitcher in this game is going to be Jameson Taillon, coming in on the card today at a 96 xFIP minus over the past 30 days, a 3.58 ERA, and also a very manageable xFIP number of 3.86. He's going up against some hitters that have done well against right-handed pitching, but not by a lot in that Brewers lineup. Christian Yelich has solid numbers along with Jackson Chourio, but everybody else really leaves a lot to be desired. So you might have a pretty good pitching performance today on deck for Taillon. If we flip it over to the Chicago side, Colin Ray, dominant over the past 30 days. Take a look at this, an 0.92 ISO and a weighted on base percentage of 275. If you look in that lineup today, first five batters do have elevated weighted on base percentages. Horner, Bush, Suzuki, Happ, and Morel. Outside of that, Talkman, Swanson, Nito, Crow Armstrong, not very good. But I am going to ride this out. I think Taillon's better than Ray is. I'll go with the Chicago Cubs. Now, here's the tough part about this too, Ben. You saw from their leadership group, I should say, right? General manager, front office, they're going to be sellers at the deadline. How motivated is this Chicago team when they're checking their phones every 30 minutes with their agent if I got traded or not? Buyer beware on the Chicago Cubs.
Milwaukee, a 5-game lead over St. Louis, 6 ahead of Pittsburgh, but Chicago 9 games back and 4 games below 500. We've got the in-city rivalry between the New York teams, the Mets and the Yankees. We've got a 4-game set this week between the in-state foes in California. That's the Dodgers and the Giants. L.A. taking the opener yesterday, 3-2. All 3 RBIs off the bat of Teoscar Hernandez. Landon Knack gets the start today at -142. The Dodgers a home favorite. River Ryan yesterday, Landon Knack from Johnson City, Tennessee. Donnie right side, have fun on the money line. We'll see you tomorrow. Ben's College Football Corner up next on the early line. DeMar DeRozan now joins that team in Sacramento with the Kings. De'Aaron Fox, Domantas Sabonis, Devin Carter, who they drafted early, Keegan Murray as well. A Kings team, DRS, that has been a playoff contender.
Is it going to equate to a championship? Probably not. That's not the goal. Make your team better every offseason. The Kings definitely got better with that move here, Ben.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
Where are you at in terms of a starting lineup, what you want to see from Team USA?
I think he'll get guys involved, and then there's your lockdown defender at the point guard, the point of attack, right? I do like Curry. I would then go with Ant. I like Ant over Booker. I think if you look at the way the Canada game was, they looked kind of slow starting, and then they kind of got rolling.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
He talked about Major League Baseball and its its rule, or actually its relationship with sports betting and gambling.
Integrity is the foremost concern, and a lot of people are questioning that given all the scandals, right? There's Mercano, there's Pat Hoberg, one of the best umpires in MLB, suspended right now. We don't exactly know what he did, but he's been disciplined, and he hasn't umpired a game this year.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
If this wind like we have out of the Northwest was here all week, it would be insane watching these guys play. And if it's going to be a southwest wind, which makes it a little easier as far as the direction of the wind, the guys will have it a little bit of a break on the back nine. But it is such a fun golf course, one that I really do think tests every single aspect of your game.
Only on SportsGrid.
Big Ten Media Day starts on this Tuesday in Indianapolis. Maybe you've looked at the White River in Indy and you see a floating Oregon Duck to welcome in the West Coast newcomers, those 4 schools that now make the Big Ten an expanded 18-school conference. That's Oregon, UCLA, USC, and Washington. Big Ten preseason poll released yesterday, where one of those newcomers, the Floating Ducks of Oregon, are in second. 6 first-place votes. Ohio State expected to win the conference entering 2024. 21 first-place votes. Penn State checks in at number 3. The reigning national champs and the reigning 3-time consecutive winners of the Big Ten Conference, that would be the Michigan Wolverines, come in at number 4. Iowa rounds out the top 5. There is plenty to get to when it comes to the Big Ten this year. But at the podium today, to start off a 3-day event in Indy, the best sports hosting city in this country, here are the 6 schools at the podium to kick off Big Ten Media Days. Illinois, Northwestern, Ohio State, those favorites, Purdue, Rutgers, and Wisconsin. Storyline for everybody as we go around the Big Ten. The Buckeyes have invested through the transfer portal this offseason, bringing in Will Howard at the quarterback spot, Quinshon Judkins, the running back from Ole Miss, and on the other side, Caleb Downs, the SEC Freshman of the Year, makes the leap from Tuscaloosa at Alabama to Columbus. Ohio State saw Michigan win a national championship and said, mark my words, never again. The Buckeyes are fully in as the favorites of the Big Ten this year. In Oregon, the newcomers, the second best price. But allow me for a moment, if you will, to make a point about your family, your religion, Rutgers football, who checks in the Big Ten preseason poll at number 9, splitting the half of an 18-member conference at this moment. Rutgers has never been happier to see a realigned Big Ten, because when Rutgers joined the conference now a decade ago, they were placed into the Big Ten East. In that division in football stood Ohio State, Michigan, and Penn State. They were always looking up, always with one of the hardest schedules in the conference. But last year, you started to see some growth in Piscataway. 7 wins, a Pinstripe Bowl victory against Miami. And Rutgers has the easiest schedule this year in the Big Ten Conference from any metric you want to look at, whether it's the ESPN FPI or the arithmetic that I have done, adding up all preseason projected win totals of Rutgers' 9 Big Ten opponents and saying they have the easiest one. And the Scarlet Knights, based on that preseason poll, rank ahead of 6 of their 9 conference opponents. Rutgers does not have to face a team that checks into the top 5 of the preseason poll. Rutgers should be able to finally, after a decade as a Big Ten member, not have to face a gauntlet this year, which brings us to the odds. 6.5 is the win total for the Scarlet Knights. The over still has some plus plus money. To get to bowl eligibility, it's minus 148. That's just 6 plus wins. Is Rutgers going to win the Big Ten at 150 to 1? No. Are the Scarlet Knights and Greg Schiano going to make the college football playoff at an 18 to 1 ticket? More than likely, no. Is Rutgers going to go over their win total of 6.5? Yes. 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 Is Rutgers going to win 8 games? I also say yes. Get ready to learn about a Rutgers football program with the reigning Big Ten running back of the year and Kyle Munninguy that is back this year for the Scarlet Knights as well. They returned so much talent from one of the elite defenses in the Big Ten Conference a season ago. Rutgers is going 8-4 throughout this regular season. If you don't believe me, you haven't been paying attention to what is happening in Piscataway. Again, it's 150 to 1 for Rutgers to win the Big Ten Conference. Are they going to do that? No. But will the Big Ten factor, of course, into the national conversation? Yes. Ohio State is a college football playoff team. Oregon is a college football playoff team. If Penn State does not make the college football playoff, James Franklin's seat in State College is going to be very warm. And don't overlook the reigning national champs in the Wolverines as well. That does it for us on this Tuesday on the early line on SportsGrid. Donnie and I will be back tomorrow, 8 a.m. Eastern Time on SportsGrid.